What is going on, everyone? We're back here again with another video looking at making a case for every MVP candidate. Now, the MVP is the most prestigious award in all of sports, specifically football, where it is a quarterback-driven award. We've not seen another player win it in God knows how long, but I want to start off with the first guy that I think could win it in CJ Stroud. Look, he's coming off an amazing rookie season. We had 64% completion percentage, 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. It turned a 3-13-1 team into a 10-7 team in 1 year. Helped Nico Collins break out, helped Tank Dell break out as a rookie before his injury, and a playoff win against the Browns. He was a 14th ranked PFF quarterback and second in deep throw PFF grade. CJ Stroud is that guy. He has every single ability that a quarterback needs. And guys, he has improved weapons. This year, he has Nico Collins coming off his breakout year, Tank Dell coming back from injury, and not to mention the trade for Stephon Diggs. Whether he's a diva or not, he'll still be an 1,000-yard guy, most likely. Dalton Schultz is still there. They upgraded at running back from Devin Singletary to Joe Mixon. You really cannot complain about his weapons. A big part of being the MVP is having the guys to help you succeed. His offensive line is pretty good, with Laramie Tunsil on the left, Titus Howard on the right, and some good guards and centers in between. Dameon Pierce isn't even bad. He's a backup running back now, but in his rookie season, he looked like beast mode. I thought he was going to be insane. Clearly, I was wrong. But Joe Mixon is there. He's an inefficient back, but he's good in the passing game and can churn out yards when needed. They also have a top 10 defense because they added Danielle Hunter. They're 90.1 rushing yards per game with a 3.3 yards per carry and a 30.8 third down success rate after week 5. The team turned it around at that point after starting off slow against the Ravens, some other teams, but the Texans will win this division as well. They will go 13-4, easily winning the AFC South as it's a weak division. The big part of MVP is the record. I think that they could be the 1 seed in the AFC. I mean, we'll get to that, but it's just there's just so much going on in Houston to make them a Super Bowl contender. To be MVP, you have to be on one of those regular season teams, have the people around you, and be good yourself. We've not seen an MVP really just carry himself to the award since Cam Newton. We had the 10 rush touchdowns and just an amazing season overall with Devin Funchess as his wide receiver 1, basically. So CJ Stroud is a guy who can win this award, but I think he will come in second place just because the team will be great, but I don't think he has the second year breakout potential because his stats last year were already amazing. If anything, he'll just go up in touchdowns and a little more turnovers, so maybe that ruins his case a little bit, but his yards will stay similar. But watch out for CJ Stroud. I think he finishes second place. Another young guy who's going into his second year starting is Jordan Love. Now, this is all predicated on breakout seasons from him and all of his weapons. I made a video on the Packers a couple weeks ago. Go check that out. And I think Jaden Reed will break out. I think he'll be an 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown guy. But I don't know if this is all enough because you have Dobbs, who's a great option in the red zone. Wicks is solid. Watson, when healthy, is a great deep threat, just great explosive play guy. Then you have Josh Jacobs at running back behind him. You have Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie, and A.J. Dillon, a decent running back. Who really knows with A.J. Dillon? I mean, he just kind of exists. He doesn't really do much for you. He doesn't really catch the ball. He's a 4 yards per carry type of guy. He just exists in the NFL, but it's enough for a roster spot, enough for some yards. And Musgrave is pretty good too, along with Kraft. I think Musgrave is clearly the better option there. Jordan Love has the weapons as well, but the cool thing about them is, and I said this in my videos, that they remind me of that OKC Thunder team. You know, like a young team with potential that randomly breaks out 1 year, like way above schedule. That was them last year, but I think they can do that again to a higher level, to where I said that they will win the NFC North, going 12-5. And Jordan Love last year, he had 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, 11 picks on a 64.2 completion percentage. That's great stats for a first-year starter. Whether he's in his 4th year or not, he sat behind the Aaron Rodgers. He learned from him the play action. I love that guy on TikTok, by the way. He's a real shot at winning it because he can explode again because all his weapons are just another year experience, another year getting healthy, learning the system more. Jordan Love really does have this chance because, 1, I think they win the division. 2, he's a great talent. He just got paid, so they're going to put all their trust into him. Josh Jacobs is coming off of a bad season as well, but putting him behind Jordan Love now, he could have a better season because the Packers are a better running team, more efficient at least. But Jordan Love himself has every tool. He has that gunslinger mentality. He can fit the throws into the tight windows. He has a decent offensive line. He has the stuff around him as well to make it. I don't think the weapons will be good enough to get him to that next statistical echelon, And I don't think 12-5 might be good enough. I think that's like the 3 seed in the NFC, because you never know with the NFC East. I mean, you got the Cowboys and Eagles, who both could have like 12 wins. You never really know with them, though, because the Eagles had that landslide last year. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. We all know what that means. And the Commanders and Giants, those are just easy wins for all those teams, except the Eagles will randomly lose to the Commanders once a year. Who knows? It's kind of like the Pats with the Dolphins back in the day. So the Packers might not be the 1 seed, which I think kind of ruins his chances a little bit, but he still definitely has a case. I don't think he's in like the top 5 of odds or anything, but Jordan Love is talented enough to make an MVP run. And we saw it last season where he was one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the back half of last year. If he could just translate that over to a full season and his weapons get better, who knows what Jordan Love can be in 2024, really. It's all predicated on 11 games basically last season and just hope. That's why I don't think he's going to win it, because it's not predicated on known success, even though it was just 11 games and a playoff win and an almost playoff win against San Francisco. It's not enough to really give him the MVP, but I guess that's kind of counterintuitive with CJ Stroud. But I definitely think there's a little bit of a talent difference there, or like a good bit. So I think CJ Stroud is clearly going to be a top 5 quarterback next year, where I think Jordan Love might be top 10. But we've seen non-top 5 guys win the award before. So it's not something we're not used to. Matt Ryan, 2016, randomly came out and had one of those seasons. So it could happen. And then we have Patrick Mahomes. Look, it's just Mahomes. 67.2 completion percentage, 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. What else do you need to know about him? Well, I'll tell you. Improved weapons, adding Hollywood Brown, even though he's hurt. Who knows when he'll be back. And first-round rookie Xavier Worthy, who really knows what will happen to him. He's a little small. Maybe press will ruin him a little bit. But besides the point. All I have to say about this guy is that he has the narrative. Look, he's that Brady, that Rodgers type of player where they're on GOAT pace, all right? Tom Brady's the GOAT, and he will forever be my GOAT, whether Mahomes gets 8 Super Bowls or not, because I'm biased. But he's on the GOAT pace, so he'll always have the MVP narrative. Last year, he probably could have won it, but they gave it to Lamar. And they will win the AFC West. They might be the 1 seed in the AFC because their defense is still good and their offense improved. He's the best quarterback of this generation. That's literally all you need to know about Mahomes. He easily can win it, but he's still not my pick. And then we have last year's MVP winner, Lamar Jackson. Look, he was the number 1 seed in the AFC. He had 67.2 completion percentage, 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks, 821 rushing, and 5 touchdowns. Look, he won't win it because of voter fatigue, but he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. Look, it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. So they always have a chance no matter if they won it last year, 5 years ago, or never. Josh Allen. But I don't think he will just because of voter fatigue. When's the last time we saw a 2-time MVP in a row? Aaron Rodgers, I think. But the team is still great. Look, they have a top 5 defense still after losing Geno Stone and Jadeveon Clowney. The defense is still amazing. That always helps with MVPs because Tom Brady won it for so many years because his team was always good, meaning the record was good, meaning he did good. It's a whole... MVP is more or less kind of... it could be a team award in a way where the player has to win it themselves. They have to have that moment, have those stats, everything that you need to have to be an MVP, but having the team around you also helps. But his offensive line got worse. They lost 3 starters, and Ronnie Stanley has not been the same since his injury in 2020. Who knows what happens with that offensive line? And they added Derrick Henry too. You know what that does? It takes away rushing upside from Lamar Jackson. That's all it really does for him. It's not great for Lamar to have Derrick Henry. Now, it's good for the team and the offense as a whole to have a top 5 offense in the NFL, but Lamar's rushing upside goes down. He doesn't get those goal line read options as much anymore. It goes to Derrick Henry because he's a 6'2 behemoth. He's the scariest looking man I've seen in the NFL, besides Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. And the weapons aren't that great either. You got Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. After that, you're screwed. Rashad Bateman's a bust of a first-round pick. That's besides the point. But you just don't know what you're going to get out of Lamar this year. He's going to regress, I think. Now, Odell wasn't great, but he was still a guy who can offer the big play, offer the insane catch on a good Lamar Jackson throw, because people still like to underrate Lamar as a passer, which I think is just stupid. But he's just heavily relying on Zay Flowers to break out. And I think he will. I think Zay Flowers is great outside of the fumble against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Zay Flowers is going to be a good receiver for them, probably 1,000 yards. And same thing with Mark Andrews. But after that, you're not seeing much from the receivers. And then Derrick Henry taking away that upside from him, I don't know. I don't see a chance that Lamar goes back-to-back MVPs in 2024. And speaking of Josh Allen, which I brought up earlier, let's talk about his case. He has an insane narrative. You know what the narrative is? His team got worse and he's still great. If he can bring this team to success, win the AFC East, be a top 2 seed in the AFC, he gets the award. He's got Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, who knows, Curtis Samuel, who I actually like a lot, but at this point in his career, and Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox, James Cook. That's not an elite receiving group at all, but him and James Cook will create a great running tandem, because James Cook, I think he'll break out this year. I think he has like 1,200 yards, 1,700 total, and about like 12 to 13 touchdowns potentially. Who knows with Josh Allen at quarterback. But he also just lost a playoff game to Mahomes again, a part of his narrative. He lost his top 2 weapons in Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs. Screw Stephon Diggs, though. His defense got worse. Unproven roster outside of him and a few other names. If he can succeed with the group that he has, voters will look at him as an elite ceiling raiser, which is something that they value a lot. Like the Cam Newton in 2015. It could be a very similar award to that Cam Newton season. Josh Allen could win it because he could have that Cam Newton type of impact from 2015. But Devin Funchess as your wide receiver 1 and then Greg Olsen as your number 1 passing option. He's got a similar thing here where Dalton Kincaid's his number 1 option, and after that it's Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. Who knows what will happen with him, if he'll be good. There were some concerns coming outside of the draft, whether it was like his ability to actually get open, his releases, stuff like that. But if he can win the AFC East, which I predict them to do still, because I don't know how I feel about the Jets. They have a lot of injury-prone players. The Dolphins will not win the AFC East. That's just a fact. No matter what, even though their team's great, they don't win it. They just don't. They always have a collapse. Then he has a chance because of the narrative that he has. And look, it's not all based off narrative. He's a top 2 quarterback in the league. He can win it any year. Whether he has prime DeAndre Hopkins, prime Julio at wide receiver, he can win it no matter what because he's a top 2 quarterback in the league. Now, the narrative there would be that he has insane weapons. But yeah, Josh Allen is the type of quarterback where no matter what narrative he has, he can win it because he's one of those top echelon guys. However, I think the Cam Newton type narrative that he currently has can help him win it. Now, do I think he wins it? No. I think he comes in third. That's because I don't know if he will have that Cam Newton type of season. He will have the statistical production, but will he have the 15-1 record? Probably not. So I don't have Josh Allen winning it. I have him coming in third. And next is a guy with an outside chance looking in, but we're just throwing him in there. Christian McCaffrey. Look, he's the most valuable offensive player in the league, in my opinion, outside of maybe like Trent Williams and Mahomes. But he's a running back. But he's the best running back in the league. Last year, 1,459 yards, 14 touchdowns, 67 catches, 564 yards, 7 touchdowns. He has health issues in the past. Who knows if he can stay healthy for another full 17. And he's on one of the best regular season teams in the NFL. So those players always have a chance. But again, he's a running back. Although he's the number 1 option on the team, he's the most threatening offensive player in the league because of his ability to do anything on the field. He can throw it too. But he just won't win because he's running back. It's simple as that. Unless he has 2,000 rushing yards, 800 receiving yards, breaks the all-time scrimmage record from Chris Johnson, he's not going to win it. It's clear and obvious. Next is someone who I also think has a outside chance looking in, Jalen Hurts. I don't think Nick Sirianni's a good coach for him. I think after the offense coordinator left in Shane Steichen, his offense clearly became worse, and we saw it at the back half of last season. Last year, he had an elite 2022, but too many turnovers last season. 65.4 completion percentage, 3,858 yards, 23 touchdowns, 15 picks, 605 rushing yards, and 15 touchdowns. He can have that production, and he has great weapons, including Saquon, but there's some things there. Will Saquon take touchdowns away? Yes. But also for fantasy, Jalen Hurts will take touchdowns away from Saquon Barkley. So it's kind of a conflicting situation. With the loss of Kelsey, does the tush-push go down? Cam Jurgens will be good, but he will not be the best center of all time in Jason Kelsey. Tush-push will not be as good as we're used to, meaning that Jalen Hurts won't get as many rushing touchdowns. And the team fell off a cliff last season. I don't think they will have the same effect this year. However, they did make improvements in the offseason. You know, they got Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in the draft. CJ Gardner-Johnson and Devin White in free agency. The defense got better. They just traded for Jahan Dotson yesterday, but who knows with him. I just don't think he'll win it because I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good coach for him. I don't think they have a good offensive system there. I don't think that allows for him to statistically produce like an MVP anymore. Shane Steichen was the guy, and we'll see that with Anthony Richardson. He won't win MVP. Hell no. But he'll look better than he did prior to his 4 games when he got hurt last year. And Jalen Hurts will look bad. Not bad, he'll look worse. Because Shane Steichen is good for mobile quarterbacks, and we all know that. He is the reason why Jalen Hurts had that elite season. Now, Jalen Hurts is still an elite quarterback, but he relies on that system to do as well as he did in 2022 when he was second in MVP. He will not win it. Who knows if they even win the NFC East? Never mind MVP. And lastly, we have the guy who I think will win it just because of narrative and skill. It's Joe Burrow. If he can stay healthy, he's the clear pick to me. The reason being, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Zach Moss and Chase Brown, Mike Gesicki, and a better offensive line. This is the best offensive line Joe Burrow's had in his career. They added Trent Brown, who's going back to right tackle, his natural position. As I mentioned in my last video, he's a lot better at right tackle than he is at left, because he doesn't have to be as quick and nimble to protect the blind side as he does on Joe Burrow's side, because he can see it and move away from it a lot easier. Now, Joe Burrow does have elite pocket awareness to where he can move around no matter what, but without an elite, or decent, it's not elite by any means, middle-of-the-pack offensive line, he would have no chance of winning it. But now that he does, and he's a top 5 quarterback, argue with the wall, there's people saying he's not because he was hurt and all that. He's still top 5. It's not an argument. Look at everything he's done in his career, from turning a bad team into an AFC champion, a Super Bowl team, then an AFC championship losing team. People love to just have this bad narrative on Joe Burrow, it seems like, outside of, people in Cincinnati. It's just stupid. He's still top 5. He has the chance to do whatever he wants. He can throw the ball wherever with finesse, whatever, because Jamar Chase can do it. But there is a question, because Brian Callahan went to Tennessee. His offense coordinator is now the head coach in Tennessee. What does the new OC look like? Look, he was the quarterback's coach there for about 3 or 4 years. He knows the system. He's going to install the same exact system. I think Chase Brown also does well because he's a good receiving back and explosive with the ball in his hands. That helps Joe Burrow because it gives him a check down option, allows for more statistical production. He has the narrative of coming back from injury, of, losing to Mahomes a couple years ago, losing in the Super Bowl, all that stuff building up in his career, all the things that he's faced, the chip on his shoulder from the injury, and everything that he's had to go through. Joe Burrow is going to be the MVP. He's coming back healthy. He's had this whole offseason to prove it. I don't see a reason why Joe Burrow can and will not win the MVP in 2024. If you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at FanaticSports25, Twitter and TikTok at FanaticSports. This is Joe of Fanatic Sports, signing off.